What people lack, in my opinion, is work ethic.
Screw that brand. I'm never working with them again. I'm done.
Imagine if in that moment I was like, sorry, can't help you.
This is most valuable thing that I've learned since hopping into being an entrepreneur 10 years ago.
Way out here in Brooklyn, New York, we got a fan running, so apologize if you get some weird noises, but it's hot as...
It's hot here, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, we need some...
Probably clicked on this title and probably thought, what the heck are they talking about?
Yep, because we're all in the restaurant biz.
We're going to talk about what that looks like, because at the end of the day, if you're a photographer, videographer, I don't care what you are, if you're freelance and you're creative, we're service providers. What do? We run that intro music.
How are we all in the restaurant biz? Elaborate, Paul.
Well, we're service providers. And I feel like a lot of the things that we do as photographers and videographers in our own businesses, when it comes down to it, can be looked at as if we're restaurant owners.
Yeah, I feel like we just catfished a bunch of people listening right now. Like we're actually not in the restaurant biz, but there are so many awesome lessons that we can learn from this illustration or analogy of a restaurant.
And by the end of this episode, I want you to be thinking about, what type of restaurant am I? What does my service look like? What does my client experience look like? What do I offer? What do people experience when they walk through the door of your website or your inbox? But hey, it's going to be good.
All right. So what's the first thing that we should tie into on this part?
I think first things first, it's first impression.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been to a restaurant before where you walk in, the host, nowhere to be seen, right? People are running around. You can tell that they're stressed. It's just not a fun environment to be in.
Yeah.
And maybe they have the best food, but what if they don't have that initial first impression that you were maybe looking for because you're about to drop some money? You got that reservation, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. First impressions are huge. I mean, even the location. I mean, we've all been to a nice restaurant. As soon as you walk in, the vibe is right. The furniture is nice. And you walk in, you haven't even touched the food yet. You haven't even talked to a single person, but you feel like, oh shoot, this is about to be a nice dinner or a nice lunch or whatever, just because of location. Mm-hmm. So I think first impressions is huge. And I like tying that into our business because a lot of times you get hired not because of the work you've done. If they're a new client, they're looking at your Instagram, they're looking at your website, they're looking at the way you show up online, the way you talk online. These are all things that actually have nothing to do with the actual service you're providing yet, but everything to do with whether or not they're going to sign you in the beginning.
Yo, I love that.
So that's huge.
Question for you. When you and Christine are going to go out for a nice dinner date, are you looking on like Yelp and all the different review sites to see what people are ordering, what they're saying? Or are you just like, do you know what? I heard it's good. I'm going to take my buddy's word for it. We're here.
Yeah. Well, me and Christine don't go on nice dinner dates.
Yeah, you do.
We're poor.
Shut up.
We're poor. We eat cup noodles
I'm
on the
about to
daily.
go off on that dual income you got. All right. But no, that's what I do. You know, I do my research before I even show up.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of how we need to run our businesses. Like people can find you with a simple Google search. Mm-hmm. Well, they should, if your SEO's right, whether it's your Instagram, your website, whatever. So I'm a huge advocate for first impressions because right there, that can be the make or break. I've walked into restaurants before where literally my wife's like, we have to go here. I walk in, I can tell it's not the vibe. Guess what? We go next door. So I feel like there's a lot of photographers and videographers where people are looking at your websites, your businesses, it's a little messy. Guess what? They're going to go somewhere else. So if you're scared of, or you kind of speak over yourself that we're in a market of being overly saturated, this episode's going to be valuable for you.
I want to go on a little tangent, like a side point. You talk about SEO. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people who are first starting out, when they hear, oh, like your website needs to have good SEO. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? So search engine optimization, that's what SEO stands for. But how have you implemented that into your business for searchability? Like you don't have to go too in depth, but just a mini crash course for those listening. Like, oh, I have a website. How can I maximize the SEO?
Yeah.
Right.
I like this activity of figuring out 5 keywords that speak to your business. For me, Miami, photographer, videographer, health and wellness. I work with brands. Those are all words that show up all over my website and on my Instagram and in any sort of piece of content you see online. I feel like one hack that I find with a lot of people that will ask me for portfolio reviews is I'll go and right click on their logo on their website and do save as, and it'll be titled like logo 1 black. or logo one white.
Wait, so the actual files.
So the files
that
on
are
your
linked.
website, the images, I highly recommend having your business name as the file name. So guess what I'll tell people to do is save your logo, change the name to whatever your photography name is, and then re-upload it. Because ultimately, when people Google you and go to Google Images, your logo is going to pop up now. Where, hate to say it, the majority of people just think, oh, I'll just upload this logo file. It's titled logo.
Or it's titled like final logo _final v3 last version.
Yo, and your SEO might be good on your website if your logo is saved as logo, if you're in the business of looking for logos on Google, because you're showing up. But I think,
wow, that's huge.
yeah, there's just different ways that you can stand out. Biggest search engine is what, Google? I was going to make a joke and say it was askjeeves.com. Remember that one? No.
No.
But like, set up a Google business profile.
Yeah.
Make sure your website's there. The description in your Instagram, that's huge.
Yeah. Even captions now.
Captions.
Instagram captions.
All the things.
Yeah, I think that's really huge. And even Squarespace. I mean, so shout out to our sponsor, Squarespace. And
Psych.
I wish they were sponsoring us. I guess I can already know everyone who's listening, they're probably buckling up for a Squarespace ad read just now.
Yo, no promo codes.
It's like, we ain't about that yet.
Go to couponjunkie.com, search Squarespace promo codes 2023. So first impressions are everything.
Yeah.
Whenever someone messages me and says, hey, I'm getting ghosted, or I can't seem to land a new client with my pricing, can you help me with the pricing? I can literally tell just based on what their front-facing portfolio looks like, even on Instagram, if it's a restaurant that I even want to walk into. So I say that because people aren't going to buy food unless your storefront looks nice, unless the experience at the front door is nice.
Because of first impression.
Yep. So first impression's everything. What do we want to tap into next?
Next, I would love to talk about, I mean, there's a few things I want to talk about, but one we can go into is actually pricing. I don't know about you, but when I go to restaurants, I personally love when there's like a sweet spot of number of items a restaurant should have. Like, I sometimes go to a restaurant and they sell everything. They sell burgers, bubble tea, smoothies, acai bowls, teriyaki. They got the whole thing, and they sell like the whole everything.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes it feel like they're not good at anything when they do that.
Yep.
I've also been to pasta restaurants, for example, where you go in, they legit have like 5 pastas.
Wow.
And then they have Pellegrino and water.
Yeah.
But the pasta is
You know it's going to be good.
You know it's going to be good because they actually, and that's how I view our business sometimes. When a client reaches out and they're like, hey, so what do you do? Right? As a creative, especially nowadays, there's so many things we can do. Even you, like, I mean, you could produce, you can edit, you can shoot. There's so many things. But based off of who's walking through that door, you know that like, you need to present a certain set of skills and not overwhelm them with like, I could do all this. I could produce your whole team, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, because they might just be there for the one day shoot, or they might just be there for the one campaign, 30 unique images. And so I think that a lot of people will try to overcomplicate the pricing process, but it's important that you really make your services concise and sellable. If they're not concise and sellable, you can't package it in an easy to understand, you can have clients that walk. I've had several that walked when I had just had too many offers, too many things going on. And it's like, oh, Ed does editing, shooting, coloring, producing. Oh, and he does photo and video. It's like a lot of times I'm like, he can't be equally as good at video as he is with everything, you know?
If you're like a new freelancer, just starting out, and you feel like you need to have social media manager, photographer, videographer, copywriter, web designer, all those things on your website, you don't have to. Because if we're looking at the market of just the digital space, if you are trying to offer everything, you're going to be the master of none, and you're going to be like that restaurant that has too many options. The menus that just keep opening, right? If I'm going to go to an Italian restaurant and I'm like, yo, I have the money to spend, I'm hungry, I want Italian, I'm going to go to the place that literally only has Italian food on their menu, and again, has like fewer options because they specialize in it, they're expert in it, and I know that the chef knows exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it also, the price is justified. There's so many photography businesses out there where we talk about portfolio all the time, where they have content on there that's distracting from the type of content that they want to be running it with, you know, or like that they want to be attracting clients in.
I also think people just generally have decision fatigue, and it's not just us as humans, I think clients as well. Think about anything you've purchased like recently. Could be clothes, could be something from the grocery store, could be like, I'm adulting right now, so I'm thinking like I had to get a new furnace part, you know, like for my furnace and stuff. But like, because I'm not an expert in getting an AC, let's say central AC or AC unit, I'm not an expert in that. If I try to hire someone who does heating and cooling and they're like, yo, we have 50 different AC units. Pick your choice. I'm like, bro, I don't even do this. Can you just give me 2 options and then can I just choose between the 2 at 2 different price points? That's kind of what I'm getting at. And I think that's what people need to start doing with their business. They don't do that. They'll be like, I could do whatever you need, I'm there. I've noticed though, maybe you noticed this with client work as with emailing and stuff, whatever you can do to remove friction, whether that's in the decision-making process, whether that's like saving time, whatever you can do to make it most simple for them to say yes and continue moving it forward in the pipeline, do that.
For sure.
So, because they're in the early stages of my freelancing career, when a client would reach out and say, hey, these are our questions, what are our options? I would respond to that email with something lengthy. Like it used to be like long with a bunch of bullet points. We're like, hey, we could go this route, or this route, or this route. And then I've noticed a lot of times they would either A, take a long time to respond, or B, ghost me.
Wow.
Because they're just so busy. Now, when I get requests like that, a bunch of questions, either A, I'll take Paul's tip, hop on a call, or if I don't have time for a call, then I'll just literally propose in the email, very rough proposal where it's like option A, option 2, let me know if you want to move forward and we can get it done. I try to keep it so simple, and some people might view it as unprofessional or casual, but I personally think that route is way better because it makes it much easier for them to say yes.
I like that. Kind of around the title of this episode, we're in the restaurant biz. And one thing I want to call out is that we look at others in the industry sometimes and we try to be like them, where much like restaurants, we all have different clientele. The customers that are coming in like have different preferences and tastes and stuff. I want to talk about customer journey because much like a restaurant, client reaches out or you somehow find them and you get connected, and we're in charge of making sure that client experience is so dialed because it earns trust. It's going to give us good reviews. It's going to make them come back and hire us for more, much like people that go to restaurants and they're like, this is the only spot I go to in town. They're having a great experience. I want to talk about customer journey. So what do you feel like are some crucial kind of pieces of the pie, if you will, if you're a freelancer and you're really trying to leave a good, I guess,
customer experience?
Yeah, customer experience. Like you want them to be like, do you know what? They checked up on my table. The manager came around and was like, yo, is the food good? They hit you afterwards with the bill without standing there all awkward while you're writing the tip. They're like, take care of it when you have time. Just want to let you know, like, it's on you. And then they follow up with you after for like a nice little review for their Google business page.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many things that we can kind of tie it to the restaurant illustration, but the first thing that comes to mind for me is just overall speed, like work ethic, right? Nothing is worse than going to a restaurant and the server doesn't even check up on you once.
No.
Or your food comes out an hour later after you ordered it.
Yeah.
You know, or they're just literally not around, don't fill up your water. Yeah, exactly. But I tie that to our freelance business because a lot of times the talent is there. The talent is there. Honestly, talent is everywhere now. What people lack, in my opinion, is work ethic.
Yep.
They lack timely email responses. They lack follow-ups. They lack grit in the revision process. You know, like they get a revision, they won't hit it for like 2 weeks. Now, by the time the client gets back a revision in 2 weeks that only took you 2 seconds, the client's now not going to hire you again.
Yep.
It's like these simple things that fall through the cracks that you're not going to get a call back. And it doesn't matter how talented you are. And I think this is something that I had to overcome early in my freelance journey because I thought, oh, wow, like as long as I make the best videos possible, I'm always going to have work, which is true to a certain extent, but only for the 1%.
Wow.
There are 1% of artists and creators out there where like their work is so freaking good.
Yeah.
They could go against the grain for everything and still get work.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the majority here. I'm talking about a lot of us that are just trying to make a healthy living, just creating content.
Totally.
Yeah.
You think someone that you go to a restaurant, terrible experience, they don't check up on you, they're so busy, Like they don't have enough staff for the amount of work. I feel like that's the freelancer that's taking on a bunch of low budget one-offs where, man, they're missing the deadlines. They're not checking up on their clients. They forget to nurture them. How likely are you going to buy dessert if you're at a restaurant and the service is absolutely garbage for your main entree?
I probably wouldn't go back.
You can really help.
I wouldn't buy dessert.
You're looking up the ice cream spot down the street.
Exactly. Like I wouldn't even go back. But also it's understanding how to manage that, right? Like I've been to restaurants where like it's too busy and I can clearly tell the server's stressed, right? Mm-hmm. And as a freelancer, there's going to be times where like you have all these one-offs, maybe your projects are piling up, you just feel overwhelmed, you just need a day to catch up. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But this is the key here. You can't just go ghost. Like imagine your server's stressed at a restaurant and then they're like, just go home. Like imagine if they just go home, right? It's like, no, like what would they do? They would probably be like, they apologize. I'm so sorry. Here's like a gift card for you to come back next time. Yeah. I've been in that situation with clients where like I've been 2 weeks past a deadline. Yeah. And instead of like just trying to shove it under the carpet and then like act like they didn't realize that I'm 2 weeks late, I'll just say, hey, I acknowledge I'm 2 weeks late. This is not acceptable for the next project we work on together. So the next next shoot we do together, I'll make sure to throw in like some extra unique images, or I'll make sure to throw it, I'll cover the talent cost or something for one model. It's like those small things are going to get the callbacks.
I love
like
that.
It's like damage control. If you find yourself in that position as a freelancer.
This is most valuable thing that I've learned since hopping into being an entrepreneur 10 years ago. You must be a strong communicator.
Huge.
I think we've talked about this a million times. Easy to be creative, hard to be business minded. Guess what? The business side is sometimes email. It's sometimes making sure that you respond to messages in a timely manner. Mm-hmm. It will really impact the entire customer journey if you're a poor communicator. So I just want to encourage people that like, best way to stand out in your city or in your niche, be the best communicator. Mm-hmm. I get back to people right away. I protect the weekends. I'm with the fam. During the week, you're getting the best version of Paul. So I think that kind of brings me to, and dude, I think you really teed it up, where if you are at a restaurant and you've had a poor experience, you're almost looking for them to do something for you. And I think it shows maturity in your business if you feel like, you know what? I know I promised something and I'm not about to like deliver on time. I'm going to be proactive and message them first, because that's going to help them know, okay, this is awesome. They messed up. Let's continue on with this journey.
I agree. So the first thing so far, just to recap, we've covered first impressions, huge, pricing and like the structure of your pricing and just overall confidence around that is huge in your offers. And then customer journey is massive.
Yep.
Is there anything else that comes to mind as far as treating your freelance business as like a restaurant?
Absolutely. I think we talk about restaurants that are successful and they have a lot of repeat business. We forget to nurture our clients. What do I mean? After a project's done, I know there's a lot of people that are listening because I went through this in my own business. I would finish a project, click send on deliverables, and literally go to my wife and be like, screw that brand. I'm never working with them again. I'm done. Well, guess what? Brands talk, people talk, and it goes such a long way if you set up like a next step conversation, which brings me to, if you're a restaurant and, customer comes, maybe it's simply remembering, oh, I know what they like to order on the drink menu. Or I'm going to make sure that I'm the one grabbing the high chair because they have a little kid. Or it's the one where I recently experienced, I hate when I go to restaurants and I can tell that the host or the waiters are extremely distracted. Like they're not willing to give you the time of day because they're like, go, go, go. Just at a restaurant and our waitress had AirPods in. I'm talking about like in-ear AirPods.
Talking on the phone. They're probably like on the phone with
I had
someone.
A friend sitting at our table with us and he's a super nice guy. Shout out to Dante, bro. He's a listener. He's like, what are you listening to? He goes, it's like listening to a podcast while literally taking our orders at this restaurant. And
she's trying to get that grind in, while she's at work.
I think a lot of us are distracted. Maybe it's mindset.
Yeah. Maybe
it's we're not prepared. We got to have structure and processes so when a customer comes to the door, we can deliver. Right? Like imagine going to a restaurant and being like, yo, I'm ready to buy. And they're like, the food's on the way. Like we got to run to the grocery store, which that's happened too. And I'm at a restaurant in Miami and I ordered something on the menu. Sammy ordered something on the menu. Weird look on the waiter's face. Instead of saying we don't have that, they're like, we'll figure it out. Hour later, the food came. We asked the backup waitress, hey, where's the food? She's like, I feel so bad. He had to go to the grocery store to get it. The ingredients.
Dang.
So be prepared.
Dang.
That's a big one.
Also, though, I feel like just being adaptable is huge. I've noticed that a lot of times these restaurants, some of them, you're like, hey, can I configure this in the burger? Or can I configure it? They're like, no.
Yeah.
No, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Like, take it or leave it kind of thing.
Totally.
Which I understand to a certain degree. Like, you know, when someone goes in, you don't want to change the whole menu for them. I get that part. But to your point, I also think that there's a healthy measure of being able to sub certain things, right? Like, a client reaches out to you saying, hey, we need this, but we also need like 5 white background images. I'll give you an example. Like, I do lifestyle mainly, right? This company that I work with, they were like, hey, we need lifestyle imagery. We want 30 unique images and lifestyle video, but we need like 5 just like white background, like e-commerce images.
Yep.
So we can add it to our website.
Yep.
And they're spending a lot of money with me on the lifestyle side. Imagine if in that moment I was like, sorry, can't help you. I just don't take on white background. Imagine if they were like, okay, we're just going to walk then and go find someone who does.
Exactly.
That could have happened. But I was like, no, it's cool. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not really in my normal wheelhouse, but I'll do it.
Yeah.
I've done it before. I just choose not to do it now, but I could still do it and deliver on that front and then add a little bit more to the invoice. And then boom, like everyone's happy. They get the images they want. I got a little more extra coin. And it's all because I wasn't being super stubborn to like, this is my thing and I can't do white background images. You know?
I want to call that out. That is what I would call a photo entrepreneur or a video entrepreneur. Someone who is in the business of winning, not just creating beautiful content.
Yeah.
Like being adaptable, even if it's you having to outsource. I just hopped on a project. I brought on a new retainer client. I can't do all the things they're asking. So much like some restaurants will hire new people when people drop or outsource certain services in order to bring like maybe better dishes in, I outsourced video. So I think it's just cool because now I'm able to have more leverage in that client relationship. Whereas if I'm like, I actually don't really touch that anymore, they're going to be like, well, we don't really want to work with multiple contractors on this. We want to work with you. So you don't have to always be the one-stop shop, but I like how you say, be adaptable. Yeah,
no, it's huge. And you also need to have a group of people that you can trust and lean on. Every successful business has a team. And I've kind of gone through the growing pain of not having a team. Like when I say that, I feel like a lot of people might be listening who might be still in doing run and gun. Maybe they only work with like one other person. They might be like, oh, I don't have a team. I don't have the money for it. My invoices aren't as big, right? But I just want to say on the mic that like I'm still in that state too. Like I can't hire full-time employees to work with me like in some dope studio. But that doesn't mean you can't hire them for projects. And the reason why I say that is because I realized that there's actually a lot of money I was missing out on when I didn't tell the client that I had people I could reach out to.
Wow.
I mean, I feel like you have way more experience in this, but I told you there was a big project that I ended up not getting. And then later the guy came to do me a solid and was like, hey, I know you bid on this project, but we didn't end up working with you because we actually paid 2 times as much as you quoted us, but the other person had a team.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, my eyes were open. I was like, wow, that means if I just doubled my invoice and then had a couple people on the crew, which I totally could have assembled, I would have got the bid. So it's, I don't know.
That's like very much like the restaurant industry.
It is.
Because the little dollar signs when you look up on like even Google Maps or TripAdvisor, how much the restaurant compares to maybe others, you look at the dollar signs out of 5. If it's 4 out of $5 signs, it's going to be more expensive than the spot that has 1 or 2 out of $5 signs. So I think it's so funny because you got to know who your customer is because I might be trying to go after a customer that's looking to spend maybe on average $5,000 to $10,000 per project, where I know that there's freelancers out there that are maybe working with more smaller startup businesses where they're like, our customer might spend on average $500 to $1,500. And I just think it's valuable to think about what type of restaurant am I?
Yeah.
Like,
am I the $5
who am I speaking
sign?
to?
Or am I the $2 sign?
Hey, or the 5 out of 5.
Yeah, true.
That's like that fine dining.
Yeah.
Dude, shout out to the destination photographers out there that be slanging like the Italy
luxury
weddings,
listings,
because they're rubbing shoulders with the luxury wedding planners and stuff.
Yeah.
So like they know who their clientele are.
Yeah. And you have to just pick what you want, right? Like some people, I feel like it's all comes down to what your preference is. If you want to work once a month and try to land one $10,000 project,
Wow.
or you could not be as stressed and work 10 $1,000 projects.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was doing real estate a lot, I was charging like $1,000 per listing video, and like low key, those were straight up cash grabs. Like I walk in with
steal.
I have my AirPods on. I walk in with.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm serious. I literally show up to these listing shoots because it's just me. Like no one's at the house, right? So I show up with my AirPods on, and I'm like flying through with my gimbal, fly the drone. I have music playing. I'm like listening to lo-fi. I'm vibing
That's
out.
great,
and
dude.
then I
like
bag
Pandora music.
Yeah, and I bag like $1,000, right? And then I do another one a couple days later.
Wow.
The edits take me like literally an hour.
Yeah.
Versus when I had like a $10,000 project, right? Stress.
Yeah.
Just so many deliverables,
Yeah.
so many locations. So just because you're charging more for your work doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be more successful.
Yeah.
There's those places that are food businesses, right? Like there's restaurants, they're charging like $4 or $5 for something,
Yeah.
right? But the line is out the door.
Yeah.
They have so much demand that they're making way more
Wow,
money than
that's
like
good.
the 5-star restaurant down the street that's empty.
Yeah.
Because no one's actually spending that kind of coin eating out.
That's so
it's
good.
Perspective. It's like how you run your business, and you have to figure out what your sweet spot is for your business.
Ooh,
So
that's good, because your like if we relate our businesses to restaurants right now, dude, my business 5 years ago, I'm not gonna lie, I was the spot that's like, how do we crank out as many clients as possible at a lower price point?
yeah,
That model didn't work for me.
you were the smoothie shop, bro.
I was a smoothie shop.
You're a smoothie shop.
But now I'm like the nice, I guess I'm probably the $4 signs out of 5.
Yeah, you're like that Wagyu steakhouse.
Like we don't have the valet like service yet outside, but when you walk in, the experience is incredible.
Yeah.
The food's good. The price point's a little higher, and you're going to be coming back, right? But I will say that, you know, I kind of think back at this all the time, where we look at other people and we're like, I want to be like them. I got to be posting Instagram reels like them. They might be on chapter 10 in a book, if you will, where you might be on chapter 2. So it's hard for you to compare your season to their season. And if we relate it to even like the food business, I know Ed is that like fine dining, you better like show up in a suit type of thing.
Psych.
I ain't eating there.
Yeah, but we bust out. We're slinging like burgers in the back. $2 cheap burgers.
Bro, you have the speakeasy in the back with the cheap
yeah,
burgers.
Yeah.
$1
That's
sliced pizza.
That's me. Yeah.
$2.50.
Yep. Party in the back, formal up in the front.
That's awesome. I was gonna ask you. We're talking about how we are in the restaurant biz. If you're a freelancer right now, and we're talking about supply and demand, what do you do if work's not coming in and you're trying to figure out how to relate yourself to a restaurant? Because it's almost like the restaurant where, you know, you're walking by and it's like prime time on a Friday night. We've all walked past restaurants in our cities where you look in and it is ghost town. The chairs are out, dude. The tables are nicely like, you know, organized with the forks and spoons and stuff. And they're literally like, who's coming in? The chef's kind of chilling on his phone.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are in that position right now.
Yeah.
So what do you do during a slow season as a restaurant owner?
Well, I mean, I think you got to get creative.
Yeah.
You really do. Like you have to think outside the box while still maintaining true to your brand. I actually have a story. It's funny. We're talking about restaurants today. Me and Paul actually occupied. We thought about this like last week. Like, we should do an episode talking about restaurants because we love food too.
I called him about the AirPod girl.
The AirPod girl, and they kind of went off into this. But so during COVID, right? A little story. During COVID, you know how all the restaurants were struggling? There was a restaurant in Seattle called Canlis, and they're known for like the $5 sign, like straight up fine dining, valet, come up, spend a couple $100s on the dinner. That's what they're known for, right? COVID hit, had to shut down. Nobody's doing that, right? And even when they were kind of open, they were kind of slow to open just because like it's COVID, you know? What they did was so amazing. They started selling fine dining to-go orders.
Wow.
Like take home and cook type of stuff.
Nice. So you can have bougie dinners at home.
Yeah, bougie dinners at home. And then when it started open up a little more, they were like, okay, we're still not getting that much business. They literally opened like, they redesigned their parking lot, which was empty because no one was going, into like this seafood
Tent
shack vibe. Where like you go, it's like, yeah, tents, but it's like seafood stuff.
Yeah.
You can get like seafood, like crab boil and all those kind of things. They pivoted. But the thing is, even though you get the to-go thing, you go to their parking lot restaurant, everything still felt very cantless.
Nice.
They just adapted what they were doing.
That's so good.
They didn't just like sit, like sitting ducks just in their empty restaurant when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot. I learned a lot
that's
from
humbling
that.
For them.
From like a business standpoint. Is like when business is slow, you need to figure out how you can bring more people through the door if your current methods aren't working, but like don't like go off the rails with your brand though. Like still make it uniquely yours.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know? That's a strategic pivot.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, Johnny got the drinks.
Hey.
God, I'm not gonna lie. I'm on this mic right now. We've been talking for 30 minutes. Like I'm dying. I'm parched. I'm parched. Like your boy needs like some soda or like water or something.
Thirsty.
Like I had a bagel on the way here and it was dry. My throat was
Ed's
dry
going into
this whole
business for
episode.
boba now. It's thirsty.
That's racist. Did you just say I'm in the boba business?
Bro,
Wow, y'all heard it on the mic
last
here.
time I was with you were like, dude, I need some boba.
Dude, because boba is lit.
What's the first place we went to when we were in LA?
Was it boba?
Boba.
Really? I don't know. I drink that every day, so I forget how many times I get boba.
All right, Celsius break?
Yeah, okay, we can just grab it while we're still on the mic. Wait, I don't care. Any flavor. Oh. Johnny, hit me with the Celsius.
All right, 1 second. Cheers, bro.
It's like kind of warm.
Yeah, she said that while she was leaving, they were stocking them. Ridiculous. Hey, I think at the time we put out this podcast episode, it's halfway throughout 2023. And it's definitely a time where a lot of people have brain fog. Some people are like hitting the ground running, like almost back to January. They got their goals for the last 6 months of the year. I think if you're a creative freelancer, you got to start thinking about, again, and reevaluating, what do you want your customer experience to look like? What do you want the customer journey to look like? What do you want the first impression to look like? What's the design of your business look like? What processes do you have in place? Because at the end of the day, the only way that you're going to be able to continue to grow your business is if you have those foundational elements down. Some of my favorite restaurants are the ones that literally have been around for the longest time because they fine tune every season. They always sit down, they SWOT analysis, they figure out, okay, what are the things we need to work on? What are the things that, you know, coming out of the pandemic, we're trying to figure out so we can always strategic pivot if we need to. I think the example you touched on with Canlis was great. What kind of restaurants do you want to be?
I just burped, sorry.
Are you kidding me?
It came up. I'm sorry.
My gosh, guys, we keep it real here.
But I agree. I think figuring out what kind of restaurant you want to be is huge. Just because we're going into a season potentially of like, I think in the second half of the year, typically for people, you're either going to get really busy where you're like, don't know what to do with your time, or it's like you have no business. It's kind of rare to be like in the middle during Q3 and Q4. So obviously everyone who's listening, we want you guys to be on the up. We want everyone to be making tons of money, doing really great things in Q3 and Q4. But you might have to go back and re-listen to this episode because there's a lot of the concepts we kind of went over, but think about your favorite restaurant and see how you can apply what you like about that restaurant in your own business. Because as Paul mentioned, we are in the service-based business.
That's good. Q3 and Q4 too, I find most brands are spending their marketing budget as much as they can before the year end. And then also brands are looking for content partners for the next year. And then consumer behavior is always up around the holidays in those later months.
A lot of campaigns and stuff going on.
Sorry, a lot of you guys got to wake up and like hit the ground running. I'm not talking about burning the midnight oil, but if you're in the business of servicing photography and video to brands or companies or whoever you're trying to speak to, you got to put in the time. So that's like my biggest encouragement to you these next 6 months is show up and figure out how you can make it the best experience, because brands are looking for content partners to spend money to. Like restaurants, people are ready to spend money and go out and eat. But if the experience is just not there, if the front door looks like crap, the lights look like they're dimmed, and there's no decor, guess what? No one's going there.
Yeah, exactly. And I like what you just said. You just have to show up. I think a lot of people, I'm guilty of this, but if you listen to this podcast episode, don't just like save it and be like, oh, this is great value. Like take one part of this podcast episode right after you listen to this, write it down, put it on like your to-do list for the week on how you want to implement that one part into your business. Like if you don't actually take any action from the tips that we're giving in these podcasts, and they're just for listening, which is fine. Awesome. Like we appreciate that. But we also want people to actually make changes in their business. So
that's good.
I want to leave a question. If you guys are on Spotify, which part of this pod was your favorite, or like which piece of the restaurant part you resonate most with? And then we want to start like a little comment section down below.
I love that. Cool. Call out the golden nugget.
Hey, sweet. Is that it?
That was it.
All right. I'm going to drink this Celsius now.
All right. See you guys.
Hold on. I just want to mention this video is not sponsored by Celsius.
No.
I feel like people might have I don't know. We don't have any sponsors yet. I just need to make it clear.
No sponsors, but we're thirsty out here in Brooklyn.
People need to know that we bootstrapped, okay? Celsius is not sponsoring this. Paul bought this with his own money on Instacart.
Yep.
Also not sponsored by Instacart. Okay, bye.
Yo, if you're still listening, this is the outtake. I just went to a restaurant in Miami where all the waiters were matching tiger print, cheetah print.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone was matching cheetah print. Every 30 minutes on the dot, this music plays, this dance music, and every single waiter and waitress drops everything that they're doing.
And they dance.
And they do a dance together.
Is that your new favorite restaurant?
Dude, it's awesome. Because literally it shows, wow, they're human. This is awesome because, I mean, I got up and started dancing. And at the same time, they have high price point dishes and like drinks.
Yeah.
There was men like dancing in their suits and stuff. So I want to be the restaurant where people are booty shaking on the table with that juicy ass steak. Bye-bye.